Hello, my name is Alanna Kaivalya. I'm the author of The Way of the Satisfied Woman and the founder at thesatisfiedwoman.com. But more than that, and way before that, I was a cowgirl. I grew up on horseback, and the cowgirl way of life, being around horses and riding, is something that is ingrained deeply into my soul. It's something that's crafted me as a human being, and I know that it's something that has crafted you as a woman as well. And there's something that cowgirls all share. We have a code, a set of rules, things that we live by, and things that at this point in our lives we probably take for granted. But if there's one core central rule that I have no doubt that all of you know, is that when you fall off a horse, you get right back on. This is something that's built into the fabric of our being. It's something that we know anytime there's a fall or a fail, that we never give up. And that kind of strength is remarkable. I don't think you really find it in other cultures or places around the world, or even here in America. There's something special about being a cowgirl. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about the strength of the feminine woman who rides horses, because we are a unique breed. You know it, I know it, I lived it and learned it at an early age, and you ladies are still living it now. I couldn't be more proud of what it means to be a cowgirl, and I know you are too. And I know that as a cowgirl, you understand that your strength is a superpower. But let's talk about exactly where that strength comes from and what it looks like. Because for us as women, our greatest strength is actually in our femininity. It's in our soft front and our strong back. Now, a few years ago, my mother somehow ran into a home movie that was buried on a shelf that I hadn't seen since probably I was in my teens. My dad was filming me for some school project. I must have been 11 or 12. And he's narrating the movie. It's actually the only recording of my dad's voice I still have. And because I was so proud of my horsemanship, there was something about this school project that made me want to show my class that I could ride. And so there I am on the back of my beloved soulmate horse, Polly. And I thought I'd be cool and try the moves bareback first. And we go over a little jump, and I could tense up, and I freaked out, and I fell off. And it's caught on film. And you can hear my dad saying, "Whoop, whoop," as I careen off the horse. Well, of course, you know what happens next. I got right back on. This time, I saddled up. I think my nerves were shaken a little bit, but I had such a rapport with my horse and trusted her. And here we went for the second round, came around to the little jump, made it over, and then I cantered towards the camera, and what did I do with great pride? Flourished and signaled that I was done. Now, I speak this because I don't have any doubt that in your history you have the same kind of pride in your ability to get back up, in the strength that you carry every day with the work that you do, the rodeo sport that you ride, and the way that you always get back on the horse. Now, what if getting back on wasn't the sole source of a cowgirl's strength? What if this idea of a soft front and strong back actually meant something different for the woman who is a cowgirl? Because look, ladies, I know how incredibly strong and capable you are. If you're a ranch woman, you're slinging hay, you're driving tractors, you're handling cattle, you're probably roping them and doing everything that the men can do as well. If you're a rodeo star, you got barrel racing, grit, you're breakaway roping, and you're doing things at high speeds on these big animals. And one of the things that I took note to appreciate recently was how rodeo events, they honor and appreciate the differences between men and women. It's not about limitations or what we can or can't do. You know you can do anything. But it's about honoring the woman and her gifts. and honoring the man and his gifts. Whereas most other sports you look at, there's the men's version and there's the women's version. They're doing the same thing, they're just doing it on separate teams. But rodeo and ranch life never pretended that men and women were identical. It's respected that we are different, and in those differences, there is power. Difference isn't weakness, and strength doesn't look the same. So, I want us to really get close to the thing that separates us and differentiates us as cowgirls. You see, no other athlete partners with a being that is 10 times her size, right? On average, we've got a 150-pound woman and a, say, 1,500-pound animal. Now, for people who don't ride, that can be very intimidating. For people who don't understand what horsemanship is about, that can seem scary. And for people who aren't clued in, they can think that working with a horse means overpowering it. But you and I know that you can't overpower a horse. That's never going to work out. The horse feels you. She understands you. There's an intuitive connection between you and your horse that is unspoken. And it's when we actually access and tap into that we become incredible horsewomen. Because you can't bully a horse. You also can't fake clarity with a horse. And you all know that the moment you crash, it's the moment that you've left that intuition behind. That you've moved into overthinking or anxiety or second guessing yourself or nervousness. I know that every time I felt anxious, nervous, overthinking, that's when I fell. And it wasn't a lack of strength. It was because I'd stopped listening to the most important part of who I am as a woman, and that is my intuition. Now, maybe you've thought about this, maybe you haven't, but this is where we excel, and this is where we highlight who we are as powerful, strong, capable horsewomen. It's because we understand that intuition is our superpower. Now, in the work that I do, I talk a lot about the differences between masculinity and femininity. And I remind everyone that I speak with that as human beings, we have both of those energies operating within us. Now, as women, of course, we have a greater dose of femininity. We have greater access to our feminine powers and gifts. And every now and again, when we have to turn on a little masculine power and overdrive, we sure can. But a lot of women get stuck in that. And we live in a world that often praises that kind of strength, that masculine drive, that masculine power, or sometimes overpowering. But for the cowgirl, we understand and praise a different kind of power. And it's the power that we wield on the back of a horse. Now, imagine with me that the horse is essentially an extension of who we are. And when you're on a horse that is your soul horse, your kindred spirit horse, that's exactly how you feel. This isn't just a machine with a heartbeat that you're operating. This isn't something you can easily swap out. You know that when you train a horse, work with a horse, ride a horse, you become almost like one single organism. And you know that, yes, you can use your leg cues, you can use the reins to help steer, but it's more about that intuition, that settling into the body, those subtle, energetic cues that really create that gorgeous synchronicity with you and your beloved horse. That's when the magic happens. That's when the barrel race is won. That's when the ranch workday feels more easeful. The horse carries the power, the drive, the momentum. And you, as the rider, you carry the direction, the feel, and the intention. Now, in terms of masculine energy, we think of masculinity as being forward motion. Well, To break it down really simply, wherever the horse's nose is pointing is where it goes. So that is fully masculine power. Even with our mares, we know how cranky they can be, but we give them direction. And in balanced masculinity and femininity, truly, the direction, the compass needle is pointed through the feminine intuition and feeling. That is our true strength. It is actually in our softness, keeping that suppleness. Because when you harden up on a horse, the moment you tense, the moment you try to force something, that connection is lost and the horse moves on its own. Now, think about the same kind of energy with your romantic partnerships. The moment you tense, the moment you try and overthink, second guess, will it yourself, that connection is lost. We get to practice it every day on horseback. We get to embody it every day on horseback. And what I want us to remember is that we can keep this energy, this feminine soft front with this strong spine, even when we're not on the horse. Because this is partnership. This is synchronicity. This is really the heart of how a cowgirl gets things done. She doesn't conquer power. She doesn't try to wield it or own it herself. She partners with it. This is feminine strength. And you don't become masculine to access that strength. You learn how to stand in your femininity and fully direct it. So what is a strong back? What does that mean for us? Because it's not armoring up. One thing that I find in the work that I do with women is that, especially women that don't have this incredible experience of horsemanship, and I use these metaphors a lot with them, is that they tend to armor up or harden up for a world that expects them to have that kind of masculine drive all the time. For a world that expects them to work just as hard as the boys and yet still be soft and play like a woman. Now, those expectations can be challenging and difficult. But if you can impart these incredible lessons of horsemanship into your daily life, cowgirl, you've got this. You've got this in hand. You have more embodied experience than almost any other woman out there about how to live in your feminine softness and still get stuff done. So your strong back is made of your feminine boundaries. Now, boundaries are not rocket science. A lot is made of boundaries these days. But for the feminine woman, your boundaries exist in your clear yes, and more importantly, your clear no. I like to think of a woman's body as a vessel, like a vase. And if that vase has holes in it, it's not going to hold water. If the vase is made of a soft material or misshapen, it's not going to hold the flowers. We want a strong vessel, but not because we're hardening, not because we're rigid, not because we have to fight and power through or power over or work against, but because we're clear in what our boundaries are and in what keeps us whole. This is where your intuition becomes critically important. And as a horsewoman, again, this is something you tap into all the time. I remember being on horseback riding through Pike National Forest in Colorado, and it was usually just me and my horse and maybe my other teenage riding friend, and we'd be gone for hours. We would be riding for miles, and the only thing that got us home safely was this intuition of when to turn around, when not to go over the jump, when not to look under the bush because there's probably a rattlesnake hiding. The rules weren't written, and there were no adults around supervising us. I'm sure some of you remember those days. I miss them. Maybe you do too. It's your intuition that's gotten you this far. And every time you've overridden it, you've collapsed that vessel. You've poked a hole in it. Now, for your sake, for all of women's sakes, I hope that we're not overriding our intuition. You know that when you're on horseback, you can't do it because that's the moment you and your connection with the horse is over. But in your daily life, every time you move around, not just the arena, but your household, your family, your career, whatever you're doing, it's your intuition that gives you that structure, that strength. When you know, you are contained within it. And when you are ready and able to issue your yes, that's where feminine energy is unleashed. That creativity, that power, that drive, that boldness, that exuberance, and that pleasure. Your strong back also comes from your resilience. You know this better than anyone. There is no failure for the cowgirl, as long as you get back on. Discipline, you know that too. We're not letting things slide. We're not calling things good. We aim for excellence. We respect the spaces we show up in, and we show up as our best selves all the time. That's part of who we are. So you've got that strong back. You know what that feels like. Just be mindful of not overriding it with any kind of rigidity or strength that isn't yours, as in the strength of the masculine that you wield and direct as a horsewoman and that you invite and invoke in the rest of your life. Your soft front, that feminine face you put to the world, that beautiful woman that you are, have always been, and continue to become, radiates when she's supported by those boundaries and when she has access to her intuition and is able to wield a kind of strength that no athlete on the planet can. So knowing that you have access to that incredible feminine strength of intuition, what do you do when you feel it slipping? Because life isn't easy for women. I know you know that. All the women that I work with know that. And one thing that cowgirls do exceedingly well is they still make it look good. But sometimes underneath that gorgeous exterior that is part of our culture to display, that strength and grit and fortitude that's always showing whenever we show up, what if underneath that the cracks are starting to show? What if deep inside you're feeling the sense of, this doesn't feel right, or this isn't right, or I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. I get it. I hear you, sister. 80% of women report feeling burnt out, and many are experiencing chronic stress and anxiety. Now, the life of a ranch woman is not easy. The life of any woman is not easy. So whatever it is that you're doing, if you feel that beautiful vessel starting to crack or collapse under the weight of life, what I want you to call upon is the thing that you know best, that connection to the horse. Because in life, when you're being challenged and it's that same feeling as you stiffening up and about to fall off the horse, you realize the best way to recover is actually to soften. Feminine strength is in our softness. Now that doesn't mean weakness. That doesn't mean submissiveness or passivity. I know y'all can kick butt with the best of them. It means choosing yourself. The moment you harden, the moment you second guess your intuition, the moment you issue a no when you mean yes, or issue a yes when you mean no, what you're really doing is abandoning yourself. That's a little like trying to go around the barrels without the horse. In order for you to stay fully empowered as an embodied feminine woman, as the incredible cowgirl that you are, you have to stay in your intuition. You have to be connected to your emotional depth. The cool thing about femininity is that our decision-making power doesn't come from logic and reason. Now, that doesn't mean we can't employ it when necessary. Of course we can, but we have access to a different kind of wisdom, a deeper kind of wisdom. The same kind of wisdom that makes your body simply shift a little bit in order to drive the horse left or right. It's almost beyond thinking. You don't have to sit here and rationalize, drop the right hip a little bit or lean with your right calf. You just move. And you do something extraordinary when you do that. Bring that into your daily life. When things start to feel tense, when your soft front collapses, when your boundaried, strong spine becomes overly masculinized, you're hardening yourself against the world, you're muscling your way through, you're overthinking, you're dismissing your intuition, you've fallen off the horse. And cowgirl, it's time to get back on. Now, how do you know when you're doing this? You're going to feel it. The other thing that's really impressive about embodied feminine women is that we feel everything. And I mean feel it. You feel it in your body. When the world presents you with an opportunity or a question or a decision to be made, the place you will know the answer is from is your body first. You will feel that tension, which tells you the answer is no, or you'll feel the expansion, which tells you the answer is yes. This is your boundary. This is how you stay strong and fortified. This is how you stay on the horse. When you give in to the hardening, you've lost your seat. When you maintain your intuition and your softness, you stay on the horse and you win every single time. Because women aren't just different than men. We are extraordinary. We are able to do things differently. We have access to a different kind of wisdom and strength that, frankly, they only wish they had. I'm proud to be a woman. I'm proud to be different. And I'm most proud of being a cowgirl. It's the thing that I identify with so strongly in my life. It's the foundation for all the tenacity that I've had, and I bet it's yours too. Now, I know that little girl in the video who fell off the horse, she didn't know this yet. She thought that strength meant just never falling. But I now know that strength really means never abandoning myself and not getting back up. And I know to get back up, I have to be in my femininity, aligned with my intuition, and proudly executing the decisions that come from inside me. That's how we drive the horse forward. That's how we get around the barrels. That's how we get through a difficult day on the ranch. That's how we stay empowered and embodied in our families, in our communities, and that's how we always show up as cowgirl radiant. Because I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care what you look like. Cowgirl, when you walk into a room, people notice. Because already encoded in your body is something they could only dream they have access to. And that's the strength of something 10 times their size. Now, sometimes that's the horse, and sometimes that's the power of your femininity really moving the whole rest of your life forward from that place, from that seat. If you want to see feminine strength, watch a woman guide a 1,500-pound animal with nothing but breath, feel, and conviction. Strong back, soft front. That's the cowgirl way. Never stop getting back up on the horse.